the semi-legendary warrior who crossed empires, married into Rus, and marked the end of the Viking Age. The death of King Harald III Hardrada at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Miniature from the manuscript, The Life of King Edward the Confessor, Cambridge University Library. Harald III Hardrada, known to history as Harald the Hard Ruler or Harald the Ruthless, occupies a unique place between legend and documented history. He is often called the last great Viking, not because Scandinavians vanished after him, but because the world he embodied did. After Harald's death in 1066, the era of large-scale Viking raids across Europe effectively ended. The sea raiders of Scandinavia gradually transformed into merchants, diplomats, and monarchs integrated into medieval Europe. Harald Hardrada stood at that turning point, one foot in the saga-filled world of Vikings, the other in the emerging order of medieval states. Born in 1015 into a family of royal blood, Harald was destined for war. From an early age, his ambitions were unmistakable: glory, wealth, and power earned by the sword. At just 15 years old, Harald fought in the Battle of Stiklestad alongside his half-brother, King Olaf II of Norway, later canonized as Saint Olaf, who was attempting to reclaim his throne. The battle ended in disaster. Olaf was killed, and Harald was gravely wounded. Only by chance, and the loyalty of fellow warriors, did Harald survive. Hidden in the hut of a Norwegian farmer, he escaped death, but survival came at a price: exile. In 1031, the young Harald fled east and entered the service of Yaroslav the Wise, Grand Prince of Kiev. Like many Scandinavian warriors of the time, he joined a Varangian retinue, Norse mercenaries who fought for foreign rulers. Harald took part in military campaigns against Poland and quickly proved himself as a capable and fearless commander. Yet his stay in Rus was brief. Two factors forced him to leave. First, the strict military and moral codes imposed on warriors in Rus limited the freedom Harald was accustomed to. Second, and more personally, Harald fell in love with Elizabeth Yaroslavna, the daughter of Yaroslav the Wise. Despite his royal lineage, Harald was still a landless exile and unworthy of a dynastic marriage. To win both wealth and status, he had to go further. Harald's next destination was Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, the richest and most powerful city of the Christian world. There, he joined the elite Varangian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguard, composed largely of Scandinavian warriors. Harald's talent for command and battle soon elevated him. He rose to lead a force of around 500 men, an extraordinary achievement for a foreign mercenary. Under imperial orders, Harald fought across the known world in Bulgaria, suppressing revolts in Asia Minor, in Palestine, in Sicily, in the Caucasus, across the Aegean Sea. Byzantine chronicles describe him not merely as a warrior, but as a trusted commander. One source, the advice to the emperor, records his role in the Sicilian campaign and his promotion to a senior military rank, effectively making him one of the empire's generals. Despite being remembered as the Ruthless, Harald called himself something else. On his battle banner, he chose a stark word: the Destroyer. In 1045, Harald finally returned home, no longer an exile, but a wealthy warlord backed by a loyal veteran army. He forced his nephew, King Magnus I, to share power over Norway and Denmark. After Magnus' mysterious death in 1047, Harald became King of Norway. Only then did he fulfill a long-delayed personal ambition. He married Elizabeth Yaroslavna, daughter of Yaroslav the Wise. The union linked Norway with Kiev and Rus through dynastic marriage, a political alliance as much as a romantic victory. As king, Harald ruled exactly as his nickname promised. He crushed the independence of powerful nobles, suppressed peasant uprisings, and imposed heavy taxes to strengthen royal authority. These measures made him feared, but also effective. Norway was no longer a loose collection of chieftains. It was becoming a centralized kingdom. Harald then turned outward. In the late 1040s, Harald launched a naval war against Denmark, ruled by King Svein II Astridsson. Warfare in Scandinavia still depended heavily on fleets rather than castles or massed armies. In 1049, Harald captured and destroyed Hedeby, Denmark's most important trading city. The conflict culminated in a massive naval battle on 9 August 1062, near the mouth of the river Nisse. The result was devastating. The Danish fleet was almost entirely destroyed. Ships were sunk or captured. King Svein fled to Zealand. Yet Harald did not claim the Danish crown. Instead, he made peace on favorable terms and returned home with immense wealth and prestige. After defeating Denmark, Harald turned his gaze west, toward England, just as Viking kings had done for generations. Encouraged by Tostig Godwinson, the exiled brother of King Harald II of England, Harald launched an invasion. At first, the campaign went well, then came Stamford Bridge. On 25 September 1066, the Norwegian army was caught off guard by English forces. In the brutal battle that followed, Harald III Hardrada was killed, fighting in the front ranks like a warrior of old. His death marked more than the fall of a king. It marked the end of the Viking Age. Harald's son, Olaf III the Peaceful, succeeded him. During his 27-year reign, Norway fought no major wars. Trade flourished, stability replaced conquest, the age of sea kings and endless raids faded into memory. Harald Hardrada remains a figure where history and saga meet, a man who served emperors, crossed continents, married into Rus, and died as he lived, sword in hand. He was not merely a king, he was the last Viking the world would ever know. The Almoravid commander who marched toward the land where gold grew like carrots. Early medieval Black Africa remains one of the largest blind spots in world history. For centuries, the land south of the Sahara appeared in written sources only as distant rumors, places of immense wealth, strange customs, and legendary rulers. What we know about them comes largely from outsiders, Arab geographers, merchants, and soldiers who approached these regions from the north. Among those who turned rumor into action was Abu Bakr ibn Umar, a military leader of the Almoravid dynasty, whose campaigns helped connect North Africa with the gold-rich kingdoms of West Africa, often violently. After the Arab conquest of North Africa in the 7th, 8th centuries, Muslim rulers and scholars began hearing astonishing stories from Berber tribes and Trans-Saharan traders. Far beyond the dunes of the Sahara, they were told, lay the kingdom of Ghana, a powerful black African state where gold was so abundant that it seemed almost mythical. Medieval Arab writers did little to tone down these accounts. One geographer, Ibn al-Faqih, famously claimed that in Ghana gold grows in the ground like carrots and is harvested at sunrise. Another author described the kingdom as standing on a great river, the Niger, with large ships, a king commanding tens of thousands of warriors, and a land overflowing with wealth. Much of this was exaggerated, but exaggeration itself is revealing. It shows how strongly the idea of Ghana captured the imagination of the medieval Islamic world. For the Almoravids, a rising Muslim dynasty based in what is now Morocco and Mauritania, gold was not just treasure, it was power. Control over gold meant control over trade, armies, and legitimacy. Before marching south, the Almoravids first secured their rear. Through warfare and religious pressure, they subdued the nomadic Berber tribes of the northern Sahara, integrating them into the Islamic world. These same Berbers would later form part of the Almoravid cavalry. It was during these southern campaigns, along the Atlantic coast and toward the Senegal River, that Abu Bakr ibn Umar first emerged as a prominent military leader. Very little is known with certainty about Abu Bakr's early life. Sources suggest he came from a noble Arab lineage and grew up immersed in warfare. Like many commanders of his era, he was shaped by constant campaigning rather than formal education. What is clear is his skill. Abu Bakr was an excellent horseman, a disciplined leader, and, crucially, a master of mounted archery. The composite bows used by Arab cavalry were powerful, accurate, and devastating against lightly armored infantry. These skills would define his strategy in West Africa. By 1048, the Almoravid leadership believed the moment had come to strike southward. The expedition was carefully prepared but resembled a large-scale raid more than a conventional war of conquest. Information about Ghana was fragmentary, but Abu Bakr grasped one key point: speed and surprise were essential. Arab sources claim that the king of Ghana could raise an army of up to 100,000 warriors, including tens of thousands of archers. These figures were almost certainly inflated, but they suggested real strength. Abu Bakr did not intend to face such a force head-on. The Almoravid cavalry crossed the Sahara and struck quickly, preventing the Ghanaian ruler from assembling his full army. Near the capital, the defending forces were overwhelmed. Avoiding close combat, the mounted Almoravid archers showered the Ghanaian infantry with arrows. The defenders broke and scattered into the forests. The capital was taken. The city of Ghana was largely abandoned by the time Abu Bakr's forces entered it. Yet the stories proved partly true. Gold was everywhere. Not only jewelry worn by men and women, but gold objects stored in homes and royal buildings. The Almoravids looted extensively and withdrew northward in 1049 with enormous wealth. Losses were minimal, a rare success for a Trans-Saharan campaign. The expedition confirmed what Almoravid rulers wanted to believe: Ghana was rich, vulnerable, and worth returning to. Abu Bakr would lead further expeditions south, but the element of surprise was gone. Border regions were repeatedly raided, yet each campaign yielded diminishing returns. Gold became scarcer, resistance more organized. Despite Abu Bakr's talent, Ghana could not be easily subdued. Only in 1076, long after Abu Bakr had vanished from the historical record, did the Almoravids briefly conquer Ghana and impose tribute. Even then, their control was short-lived. Abu Bakr ibn Umar did not found an empire in West Africa. He did something more subtle, and perhaps more important: he opened the military road across the Sahara, transforming legend into strategy. His campaigns helped bind West Africa into the wider Islamic and Mediterranean world. For better and worse, trade expanded, violence followed, states rose and fell. In the end, the gold of Ghana did not grow like carrots, but it was real enough to reshape medieval Africa and to secure Abu Bakr's place among the most consequential military figures of his time.